Everest Ch.6. The first round of official cuts was scheduled for the end of that week. Everybody realized it was coming, but nobody knew exactly what to expect. Would Cyril pull you aside and give you the bad news? Or maybe Sneezy or Dr. Oberman? Would it be public, or would you be yanked away from the dinner table and marched off in disgrace? Maybe it would be the opposite of that. You'd wake up in the morning and a whole bunch of kids would just be plain gone. And of course, the million-dollar question, who? One thing was certain, as the time approached, the tension rose so high that you could almost hear a hum throughout the complex. Tilt thought he might be the most nervous of the lot. It was crazy. What did he have to worry about? He was the best climber in the group, except maybe for Ethan Zaff, who still hadn't shown up. But Tilt was worried about all the mouthing off he'd done to Ciro. Not that the dictator deserved it. The guy was on some kind of power trip and got his jollies by bossing around a bunch of kids. But maybe it was stupid to bug the person who was in charge of picking the team. Tilt would only have himself to blame if he washed out. And he needed this more than the others. Tilt Crowley, the youngest kid to climb Everest. Buy this breakfast cereal, it helped Tilt Crowley reach the top of the world. Oh, Harvard needs a man like Tilt Crowley. How else was he going to get to the Ivy League? Was he supposed to pay the tuition by working himself to death on a triple paper route, the way he bought his second-hand crampons, and the ice axe with the slightly warped handle? The other kids here all had state-of-the-art stuff. That was Tilt's definition of rich people. He didn't mean mansions and private jets like Perry's uncle probably had. Rich was anyone who could climb as a hobby that wasn't attached to a second career. 7 miles a day, lugging the Cincinnati Enquirer through sleet and 100-degree heat. If he made it to the summit, only he would know that the mountain had been the easy part of the ascent. Sure, he realized others didn't like him. They climbed on ropes, he climbed on attitude. If he had their advantages, he would be a nice guy too. Maybe he should have been nicer. Maybe he was going to get to be cut for getting on people's nerves, on Ciro's nerves. Come on, Cap, don't wash me out. I'm the best you've got, and I need this. It finally happened. After a 30-mile hike with full gear through snow, 7 lockers in the equipment room were tagged with yellow post-it notes. C-Cap was all they said. But everyone knew instantly the axe had taken its first swing. 4 boys and 3 girls were headed home. Their Everest dreams were over. Astonishingly, Joey Tundra was one of them. But you've been eating Cap's workouts for lunch, exclaimed Bryn. Joey could only shake his head miserably. Sammy was also surprised. I mean, Perry made it, and you're twice the climber he is. Hey, Perry said fearingly. No offense, but it's true, Sammy persisted. Why cut him, and not you? Joey was so devastated that he could barely raise his gaze from the floor tiles. A couple of years ago, I broke my nose bouldering, and the surgeon offered to do a nose job while he was in there anyway. I figured I might as well be beautiful, right? Now, Andrea says, my nasal passages are too tight for breathing easy when the air gets thin, high on the mountain. Won't the bottled oxygen help? Asked Chris, feeling the other boy's pain. Not enough, said Joey. I'm done. And after all that, you're still ugly, observed Tilt, kicking the climbing boots into his locker. I love you too, Joey, mumbled miserably. Chris turned on Tilt. The guy just washed out for something that's not even his fault. Think maybe now isn't the time for jokes. Tilt shrugged nonchalantly. Who's joking? Joey glared at him. You know what would make this day better? This day okay? If you're next. Dream on, nose job, sneered Tilt. I'm the best climber in this dump. Maybe so, said Joey. But you're a self-centered jerk. There's no place for that on a climbing team. He shouldered his duffel and stood up. Sure, go ahead and hate me, invited Tilt. But I'm the only honest one here. These guys all act like your best friends, but they don't want to admit that. Deep down, they're celebrating with you gone. One more spot on the team is up for grabs. There was an awkward, embarrassed silence. As the truth of Tilt's words sunk in, Joey had been a favorite to make the chosen four. Sad, as it was his departure, meant better chances for the remaining climbers. "Hey," Joey said, in a subdued tone. "I've got no hard feelings. I'll be following along on the website, pulling for you guys. Most of you," he added with a dirty look at Tilt. Sneezy entered to record the parting on video. He was almost at a disconsolate as Joey. "Sorry, kid, I know it's hard, but I've got to shoot this for the site." Joey smiled half-heartedly. "Don't worry, Sneezy. We all knew the rules before we got here." With the camera running, he turned to Chris. "This is my Cub Scout mountaineering badge," he said, holding out a tattered piece of felt. "It's the first climbing thing I ever won. I want you to leave it on the summit for me." Chris accepted the token. "If I get there, you get there," he promised. And then there were 10 Everest hopefuls left in the Summit Athletic Sports Training Facility. None of them knew what none of them knew was that during the hike, Cap Zero had actually asphyxiated 8 post-it notes, not 7. The extra cut had been Dominic Alexis. Zero had made this decision with regret. The boy was a talented climber with incredible stamina and unfailing courage, but Zero had felt from the start that the kid was too young and too small, so Dominic was out. Later, Zero was in Dr. Oberman's office examining the candidates' x-rays, which were all lined up across a wide viewing box, and was important for kids especially to have good lung capacity on Everest, where there was so little oxygen in the air. He was looking with approval at an assortment of healthy chests when Tony Devlin ran up all at Witter. "You have to change the cut." Zero looked surprised. "Why? Perry's still alive. Not that you can tell from his effort level." "This isn't about Perry," Devlin explained. "You've sent home all the wild card kids." Zero adjusted the backlight. "Yeah, and I wonder why. Everest isn't a theme park. You know you don't just take tourists up there." The retail contest focused on a huge amount of attention on Summit Quest, Devlin argued. "Already the newspapers and wire services are running updates from our website. It's like Survivor. People want to know who's going to make it. It looks bad if all the contest kids wash out by the first cut." "It looks worse if we leave them dead in the Khumbu icefall." "I'm not saying they have to end up on the team," Devlin reasoned. "Just keep one of them in the running a little longer so we can play it up on the site. Make it seem like the contest wasn't totally bogus. You know, like this kid really has a chance to go." "It's not fair to the kid either," Zero noted. "These workouts aren't exactly patty cake." "Just do it," coaxed Devlin. "You, of all people, know how important it is to keep the sponsor happy." It was true. Star alpinists would stop in their tracks if a disgruntled sponsor cut off the shipments of food and equipment. "Fine." The team leader's eyes scanned the x-rays and came to the rest on the scrawny body that could belong only to one person. He blinked. Dominic Alexis was half the size of the others, but he had a chest full of dark, expand lung tissue that would be the envy of anyone here. He may be small, Zero reflected, but he has a respiratory system of a 6'5" bodybuilder. "We'll keep the little guy," he said suddenly. "Just till the next round. Then he's history." "Thanks, Cap." A satisfied Devlin headed off to remove the post-it from Dominic's locker. Medical log, psych profiles, interview with Perry Noonan. Dr. Oberman. "You seem surprised that you survived the first cut." Perry. "No, I'm not. I'm as good as anybody here, right?" Dr. Oberman. "What do you think?" Perry. "I've been climbing since I was 9. Dr. Oberman. "With your uncle?" Perry. "Right." Dr. Oberman. "Do you want to climb Mount Everest?" Perry. "Every mountaineer Dr. Oberman. Not every mountaineer. Do you want to climb Everest? Perry. Yes. Dr. Oberman. Are you sure about that? Perry. What do you want me to tell you? That it's less than useless? If you're going to spend zillions of dollars on something that's practically impossible, you might as well be curing cancer, or stopping wars, or feeding the hungry. Well, forget it. People climb mountains, period. And the biggest one is the one they want to climb the most. Dr. Oberman. And that includes you? Perry. Yeah, sure. Why not? Dr. Oberman. I'm not hearing any straight answers. Perry. I'm not hearing any straight questions. The kitchen manager, aka Sleepy, escorted Ciro around the wreckage of the crockery cabinet. The brake front itself was tipped over on the floor. Around it were a million shards of broken glass and dishware. The team leader was appalled. My guys did this? Unless we have a poltergeist, Sleepy said grimly. Dr. Oberman spoke up. I've been doing psych evaluations on all the kids. I could be wrong, but nobody jumps out at me as a vandal. Psych my butt, seethed Ciro. It's Tilt Crowley. He's gone first thing tomorrow morning. The doctor was shocked. You can't do that. You have absolutely no proof. The Supreme Court needs proof, Ciro raged. I'm instant law. Ask any of these kids and they'll tell you Tilt's the one. He has a lot of anger, Dr. Oberman agreed. And there may be good reasons to send him home. But this isn't one of them. For starters, I don't think he did it. And if I'm right, the real culprit would still be here. And might even end up on the team. What about my dishes? Sleepy demanded. Ciro could only shake his head. Charge them to the expedition, I guess. To the doctor, he said, I don't care about the money. It's the distraction that worries me. We can't lose our focus. Not on Everest. Not when we're facing the death zone.